I'm building more cabinets, so I'm gonna show you how to build them with a little more detail than I normally show. This cabinet is gonna look something roughly like this. There's gonna be a toe kick on the bottom, and I believe there's 3 dividers. Basic, it's like a bench seat. It's gonna have a white oak top on it, and then it's all painted white. First thing I need to do is figure out how high up my bottom is going to be. So you can do it a couple different ways. You can, use a tape measure and measure it all out. However, if the thickness of your board is a little bit off, everything's gonna be off. So I like to use the actual material to figure that out. So I'm gonna have a 4-inch piece going across the top. So I'm just gonna grab something of the same material, kind of line that up, but the centerpiece is in there, and now I have this gap right here, so I know where the bottom needs to go. Once I have figured out where the bottom's gonna go, what I'll do is I will take my right and my left, line them up together, putting the dado slots together. That ensures I'm gonna have a right and a left when I put it together. Otherwise, if I'm laying it all out, you could end up laying it out backwards. So what I'll do is I will take this, the square, and put some lines where the top and the bottom is gonna go. Then what I'll do is I will flip them over, keeping them in the same way, but I'll flip them over, and then I'm gonna bring my square down 3/8 of an inch. I'm going down 3/8 of an inch because the thickness of my material is 3/4 of an inch. But then what I can do is I can now draw a line across, if I can hold it on there, and that'll give me a line for my screw holes. All right, so now that I have my line, what I'll do is I will drill some holes. In this case, I really only need 3 in each one. So now what I'll do is I'll get everything lined up using the reference points that I have on the inside. So get it all lined up, and then I use a brad nailer to get it initially lined up. Make sure you put it in the right direction, so that way the nail, if it does move, it does not pop out of the work. But then that'll at least temporarily hold it for me so I can get the screws in there. So then once I have that tacked into place, I'll go back through with my drill again, and then I'll drill out the holes that go into the bottom. And that just makes it so that way less chance of it splitting. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is put my top rail in. As you can see, I put a clamp down there, and that's gonna aid as a second hand since I don't have someone to help me with this being longer. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it will get you close. So then what you're gonna do is get it all lined up. So it looks like my sides are going outward. So I'm gonna have to pull it in. And then what I'm gonna do, same thing, is tack it in with a nail and then put the screws in. All right, now that I have that done, I'm gonna put the back rail in. I'm not gonna bore you with that, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, so now that we have everything together, the next thing I need to do is figure out the space between these dividers. So, all right, so what I'm gonna do is I take the material that's gonna be my dividers and sandwich it up to the side, and you can slide it all the way in. It's pretty snug, so I didn't. But I put it up there and then I clamped it, so everything is really tight. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a measurement from here down to the other end. That's gonna be 86.5. So that means in between each box is gonna be 21 5/8. As you can see, I marked off at 21 5/8, and then I put an X on the side that my divider is gonna go. What I did is I transferred my lines from the bottom to the top. You can kind of see right there. And if it'll focus, back there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line up the top first, get everything flush, and then I'll screw in the top and the bottom. What you can see is it sticks over its slight lip right now. That's okay. That means that the cabinet's slightly twisted. Once I screw in the top, I'll be able to push the bottom in and get the bottom screwed in to the correct place. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with all of the tops first, get all those screwed in, and then I'll flip the cabinet on its back, and then I'll screw all the bottoms in. That's the most efficient way to do it. Now that we have all the top screwed in, I'm gonna tip it over and screw in the bottom. So now I'm gonna do that for the other two. Now that I have all the dividers in there, the next thing I need to do is make some blocking for underneath. As you can see, this thing bends and moves very easily. And this is gonna be a bench. So if somebody sits on there, it's gonna be like a trampoline. So we need to put blocking underneath there. I typically put it right underneath the supports. That way everything goes right straight through like a perfect structure. For these supports, what I'm going to do, and it really, the material doesn't matter, I just use scrap that I have. It needs to be in the shape of a T like this. So I'm gonna put the melamine on the top, plywood on the bottom, and I need this right here to be 2 1/16. So we need to cut this part down. What I'm gonna do is get them lined up, just put them somewhere in the middle. They do not have to be perfect. The wings are essentially giving me something to screw to the bottom of the cabinet. And after I put the nails in, I'm gonna come back and put screws in to make it more stable. Don't necessarily think it's necessary since everything's gonna be pressing down, but peace of mind. So then once I have those all built, what I'll do is I will pre-drill my holes and get it lined up. Now I made it a little bit smaller than the cabinet itself, and that's just so I have some room to play. So I will line it up with the face pretty close. I have a piece that's gonna go in front of there, and this will give another anchor point for it. So as you can see, it's so much more stable now having those pieces in there. This cabinet is not done yet. I still need to put the top on. I need to put the finished end on, the back in, the nailers in, all that stuff. But that's about all I have time for in this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you have watched the whole time, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to follow all that fun stuff. I'm gonna try to do some longer videos, pair it in with the shorter videos that I do.